Nou ja, dag sê maats. Kom ons gesels 'n bietjie oor H. pylori. Kom ons praat so 'n bietjie oor H. pylori gastritis en kom ons gesels so 'n klein bietjie oor kroniese gastritis. Today we're going to focus on H. pylori gastritis, and then chronic gastritis. And we need to understand what they are. And this is also now a very personal experience. You know, if you look over the last year or so, my wife has actually been struggling with this. And before that, it actually started up. So what happened is, a few years ago, she started struggling with some constipation. And we decided at that stage, what we're going to do is, or I decided, I looked at it and I said, perhaps it's a case that she's lactose intolerant. So what I did, I took a move and we decided to invest in no-lac milk. And we'll test that because she loves her coffee. And with her coffee, usually it's a bit of milk and so on. And she eats a bit of Weet-Bix or, you know, cereal in the morning. And that's all with normal milk. We tried it. We've switched over to the no-lac milk, but we didn't really think much further than that, because if you actually look at it, lactose you find in a lot of your dairy products. I mean, if you look at yogurts, if you look at your cheeses and so on, that's all lactose products. But we switched it out. So the no-lac milk really came into play. It's a Palmolive make. And it really helped her. It reduced the amount that she actually struggled with the constipation. It didn't take it away, but it did definitely reduce it. And from there on, we kept her on the no-lac milk. Oh, sorry, it's not Palmolive. My bad. People sometimes here and there I slip a gear. But don't tell anyone else. All right. It's actually a Clover make. So she used that. And it went well. It went well for that stage, you know, and slowly but surely other symptoms started progressing. The constipation returned. And then last December, it's 12 months, I mean, we're approaching Christmas now. Last December, all of a sudden, she started struggling with heartburn and also bloatedness and a lot of gas, you know, and it was uncomfortable. So in January, we went to a GP. We consulted the GP, and the GP said he's not sure what it is, and he referred us to a specialist. We went to a specialist, a general surgeon, and they did a gastroscopy. Yeah, I wanted to say gastropathy, but in any case, after the surgeon did the gastroscopy, they found that she has gastritis. She was diagnosed with it. So you accept it. I mean, that's what it is. And the surgeon put her on a PPI, which is a acid reducer. It's called Peplock 40 milligrams. She worked with that, and she had that every day. It was a chronic prescription, and she used it, but it didn't really make much of a difference. We had to, you know, spend a lot of time and a lot of research in looking into foods that she can use, which brought us to the conclusion, when you have this type of problem, you need to get rid of things like acids. So yes, that strawberry that you like, that tomato that you like, that tomato lasagna that you enjoy, or even a plain common staple in South Africa with a braai. You know, the tomato relish that we put on our pap and borscht, you know? No more. The same with chilies, the same with fats. And so the list grew and grew. You know, this spices is not good, and that spices is not good, and this causes flare-ups. So it continued, and it snowballed. She did a lot of that. And to give you an idea, she at the old end of the day, she also runs her own channels, and her channel's name is Affordable Eats. It's on YouTube, it's on TikTok, and so on. So she's a foodie. Now, have you ever thought to yourself that you need to go to a foodie and you need to tell the foodie you can't eat anything anymore? or you can eat, but what you need to eat is very limited. And there's a couple of things that she can't eat. Any case, so it kept on snowballing, and we ended up also with the chronic medication. We went to a pharmacy, and the pharmacist at that stage, they said to us, "But why don't you try Nexipraz? Because Nexipraz is actually a bit better. You know, Nexipraz, in his words, it's the Rolls Royce of medicine. So we cannot tell you it's whatever you've been using is wrong. The pharmacist told us this is a very good option, and we decided let's try it. It helped. It helped a lot better than the Peplock ad. But now you need to remember, people differ. We all differ in the sense that how our bodies accept or reject medicines and so on. So I'm not telling you that's the be all and end all. I'm telling you it's something that from experience worked well for my wife. Any case, yet the symptoms of a gastritis just continued, and it never really, backed down after diet changes and so on. And her symptoms escalated to the point where she started struggling with the lips and, the tearing of the lips and so on. And I did further research. With the further research, the burning stomach, the bloatedness, and she would wake up in the morning and she couldn't sleep like. It becomes so uncomfortable that she can't sit in certain positions. She's struggling with the tearing of the mouth and, of course, the bloatedness and the burps and everything else. And, us being in South Africa and just being a normal person like you, on a Friday evening here and there, we would, have a kuier. We'll have a braai, and we'll have a couple of cold ones. And the moment that she has a couple of cold ones, a few brandies, the next day she's fine. So that was the interesting thing, because if you're really a chronic gastritis person, you have a chronic gastritis condition, and you have a couple of brandies, the next day you will be feeling it. It will be horrendous. In her case, it was better. So we ended up expecting or suspecting something is different here. What we did is I did some further investigation, and I came to the conclusion what she actually has is acute gastritis, but it's caused by H. pylori. And I did a lot of extra research. I spoke to, we made an appointment with our GP. I discussed the symptoms with our GP, and he said, yes, the tearing in the mouth and so on, that's all a B12 deficiency, because one of the impacts that you have from gastritis, even the chronic one, is that it influences your B12 levels and so on, and a couple of other minerals in your stomach. And he prescribed a bunch of antibiotics. We also got it from research that there's certain steps that you need to take, and the antibiotic course is 10 to 14 days. And during this period, you need to limit what's being eaten. So you need to watch the food and how food is prepared, how food is flavored and so on. That all helps at the old end of the day that you can, make a full recovery from it. Because then these antibiotics destroy H. pylori. And by destroying it, it helps that you get back to a normal stage. All right. So we followed the medical plan from the doctor or the medicine plan. And my wife's been on a medicine. She was on a 10-day course, and we monitored what she ate. So in one of my videos that I'm still going to release, I'm going to discuss the foods and the preparation of the foods. Back in the day when I was still heavy into weightlifting and bodybuilding and so on, that's a diet that we used to use. And that's exactly the same diet I used for my wife at this stage. Well, I'm using it as well. I've got a bit of boopends here. That's from Affordable Eats. I'm going to blame my wife for that one. So, looking back at it, she's standing now on day 16. Since we started this, she has no more bloatedness. She has a burning stomach in the evenings after she had a meal. But that is because the stomach lining is busy repairing itself. And now, that's what I wanted to discuss, giving you a bit of the background and so on. Now you understand that I shared this background already on my wife's TikTok channel as well. Now I can tell you what is the difference between chronic gastritis and having H. pylori gastritis. Now, if you look at the H. pylori variant of it, if I can call it that, it's a bacteria that causes the inflammation in the stomach lining and so on. And there is a full name for it. It's a Helicobacter pylori, but they call it H. pylori, you know, for easy reference. Now, this is something that's transmissible, and we don't realize it. But you go to the mall, you open the door at the stall, or wherever the case may be, you touch something in the shop, and you get bacteria on your hands. It happens to anybody, any place, any time. It can be a dirty dish, it can be a door handle, it can be your shoe with a piece of gum, or whatever the case may be. And somehow people contract it. You can get it from contaminated food, water, and you know somebody else that has it. Just an interesting normal graphic for anybody that's, well, a graph or statistic that's interested in it. 50% of people in the world actually have it, or more or less. There's no certain answer to it. You know, it's not like everybody can tell you, listen, but I do have H. pylori. The interesting part about that is, you know, a lot of people is just asymptomatic. So never will they actually know they'll have it. They'll live a happy, full life. And when the time comes that you need to, you know, trade the temporary for the eternity, nobody knew they had it. But some people are not asymptomatic, and my wife was one of them. So it attacks the lining. This bacteria, it attacks the lining, it inflames the lining. Your stomach starts generating additional acids and so on. It slows down the system, how your gastric system is actually supposed to work. It causes fermentation of food, and that's where the burps and the stuff come from, because the bacteria needs to feed. It interferes with your hunger hormone, as I said. And there's a lot of other things that happen. Now, I know that some of you are going to say, but listen, if you have H. pylori gastritis, it's not a case that you are going to get or pick up weight. It's actually proven that it's different. You know, some people can pick up weight, others don't pick up weight. And, you know, there's no hard and fast rule. It's A, B, C, and D, and that's the cause of it, and this is what you do about it. Everybody, as unique as we are with our handwritings and the way we look and the way that we talk, the same when we get something that's wrong with us, a disease or a condition. It affects us in our own way. And everybody has the same way or the different way to respond to it. Anyways, so H. pylori gastritis, there's a lot of symptoms. So some people will get constipated. Some people will, you know, get nauseous of all the gas that's trapped in your stomach. Some people will burp from morning to evening. And other people will just get a stomach ulcer, because H. pylori is also one of the guys that causes stomach ulcers, and these can bleed, and that, you know, if they bleed, it goes to your stools and it becomes a bigger problem. Now, chronic gastritis, if you're going to look at chronic gastritis, it's a much broader thing. You know, that could be your autoimmune system that's actually targeting your stomach lining. There's a couple of other things that also happens. You know, you can get chronic gastritis from a person that uses specific medicines, your anti-inflammatory medicines, like ibuprofen too much, or a Voltaren, or that type of medicine. I think it's Voltaren. Yeah, it's Voltaren. You know, the medicines that's actually burning your stomach, they can actually cause you to sit with a chronic gastritis condition. Excessive alcohol, excessive smoking, stress. Stress is a big one. You know, and I can't say, okay, you know what, we don't stress. There's a lot of those around, and we all under pressure, whether it's financial, family, personal struggles, or whatever the case may be. There's struggles, and these add to it. And, of course, there's certain there's certain conditions like Crohn's disease that also adds to it. So you understand, there's no hard and fast rule. It's just this or that. Now, looking at chronic gastritis, which is a condition, which means that's not something that you're going to remedy overnight, and you're not going to remedy it with antibiotics from your that's prescribed by your doctor. This is a condition that we need to manage. We need to give it the respect it needs, and by giving it the necessary respect it needs, it actually helps us at the old end. And that's where I come in. I'm going to talk about in my next video. I'm going to talk about the foods that we use. Now, if you are treating H. pylori, or if you have chronic gastritis, when we use our certain types of foods, both of them benefit your stomach lining, and this is what this is about. We want to make sure that when we take in food, our stomach can digest it easily. It can work through the system so that when we take in food again, there's not anything that's actually fermenting in our stomach. H. pylori is here quite the, what can I call it, the big evil, because it ferments food in your stomach, because it needs to feed itself. So your stomach is turning into the local beer factory or the local vineyard, because it's trying to ferment everything. And that's why you get the sense of fullness, and then you have the sense of hungerness, because it's actually controlling that to keep you hungry, to keep you fed, so that it can feed itself. As I said, it interferes with your hunger hormone, and it controls that. So when you go into a repair phase, or when you start using the antibiotics prescribed by the doctor, and you use the right diet and so on, you will all of a sudden see that your hunger hormone is returning and your acids is returning, and then you're hungry for most of the time. You feel like snacking or whatever the case may be. And this is all just part and parcel of what H. pylori gastritis does with you. A person with full gastritis, they understand the flare-ups, they understand the pain of it. But also, once again, when we look at our foods that we use and how we use our foods, at the old end of the day, it helps the stomach. It helps what they call the gastric motility. Our food just goes through our system, and that's what we need. I can give you this hint already. If you look at your oils, your sours, your spices, and, well, oils and fats, if you look at those type of things, and even your sugars, and you take those from your diet. Now, I'm not saying that you're all going to live here and we're just going to eat that green leaves, what do you call that? Lettuce. Yeah, it's fair. Some people live by it, but I mean, not all of us is built for lettuce. We are built for some other things as well. So we cannot just live on lettuce. But if you are going to use the correct foods, morning, afternoon, evening, and you're going to plan your meals and you're going to plan around it, I can promise you at the old end of the day, you will do better. I'm not promising you that you will be healthy as a horse. I'm telling you, you will do better, because we've tried it. We've seen that it works, and it's stuff that you have in your home. At the old end of the day, not one of us, or most of us, can't afford to spend thousands and thousands on this impossible diet that you walk away from and you feel bad. We want to look at stuff that you can buy at your local grocery. You can make sure that you have it in your cupboard. You can have a meal, and at least you know you're feeding your system what's necessary, but you're also feeling great in the process. So you will see on my videos as well, and on my bio in YouTube, just check at the top. I've got a little form there. You can click on the form, you can fill it in. You can discuss some of your conditions with me, or some of your symptoms and so on, and what did the doctor say about it. And as we progress through this channel, I'm going to look at all these things, and I'll do the necessary studying work. I'll look at what is available in medical data. And perhaps there's a couple of wellness points that we can just take from that. Something that we can use, something that will work for us, something that will help us at the old end of the day, and we can feel better. Now remember, people, this is a very important point to me. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a healthcare professional. I'm not a specialist. I am just a person with experience. I've been, as I said in my intro video, I've got 26 years of experience just being a human being, and I've got a bit of gray matter, And what I'm doing is I'm looking at research that's available. I'm looking at options that we can use at home that might be effective for us all. And you know, it's food that we have. I'm not going to tell you to go buy yourself some special brand of chia seed that is made only in a horse's backside in Antarctica. I'm going to tell you about stuff that you will find in your kitchen. And hopefully that will help you at all in all day to do a bit better. Looking forward to discuss the next video. Next video, we're going to talk about foods that we can use either for H. pylori gastritis or we can use it for chronic gastritis. Both of them will benefit from it. Please feel free to subscribe and put your notifications on. Watch my channel. I will keep you updated. Thank you for your time.